Welcome to the Screen Time Continuum. This is Sundays? No, this is Saturday. I apologize. Got my days mixed up over here. This is the Saturday episode. We are coming to you to bring you the episode 7 of Rings of Power. Check that out really quick. If you haven't already checked that out, before I even do our introductions today, I'm going to do you a service. You don't even have to know who we are yet. Just hit that save button, go ahead and watch episode 7 of Rings of Power. Come on back, and then you can find out who we are, what we talk about. And you probably already know that because you're here watching us. Let's just be honest about it. But with that being said, that is your spoiler warning. Literally, that's as long as I'm giving it spoiler warnings right about now. Rings of Power episode 7. If you have not seen it, go ahead and take a look at that. It's entitled The Eye. Um, but here is our review of the episode 7 entitled The Eye of Rings of Power. My name is Keelan, and as always, I'm here with Nick. What's going on, brother?
Hey man, happy Saturday. Our little awkward silence at the beginning is because neither of us knew which one was going to take the lead. So sorry about that, guys.
It was. It's funny because I was sitting over here and I was doing my normal, and I was thinking to myself, we didn't discuss that. Uh-oh. But I
Oh
like
well,
how it works out.
it works.
See, if you ever need, also, see, that's another reason that you guys should be watching and subscribe to the Screen Time Continuum. If you ever want to know what it's like when people are shooting live, no matter when they do it, how long they do it, just watch us because we're going to make blunders once in a while, and you can just go ahead and take your pen and pad out and go, okay, that's one thing right there. It's just, that's how it goes. But I think that's part of the fun. I don't know.
Mm,
Either
part of
way,
it. You
I
got
think
to.
so.
We got an early drop in here. I think this might be for you, just so you can see it.
Oh, yes, indeed. Haven't seen it. Hey, what's up, Sarah? Hey, I had to read the whole thing. Hey, what you mean you haven't seen it? You go watch it if you got time. If you got time, I don't know. But when you get time, put that on the list. I promise you'll enjoy it. You'll enjoy our review of it. How about that?
That's probably a better claim. Yeah.
Yeah. But here we are to cover episode 7, The Eye, and I I'm gonna give my first impressions first, and then of course Nick, please give yours. Chime in. Mine's is good. My first impressions of this is going to be very short. Um, the journey from beginning to end was not as bad. There were a lot more characters involved in the last 6 episodes. Can you tell I was making it up as I go? My microphone didn't even want me to go along with that. But it's getting better for this episode compared to the last 6 episodes. However, the ride home, like, for me, if this were like my first time meeting someone, the hangout was cool, but the ride home was rough. Man, it was rough. Um, but that's all I got for my first impressions. Nick, how you feel?
Yeah. So I can understand where you might be coming from when you say that there is more going on in this episode. I agree with that. I think it's because we finally got to see all of the storylines in one episode, where I think in the last few we weren't able to see that.
Mhm.
So having all of the storylines sort of in one episode was nice, but man, I just can't bring myself to care. Um,
Too late in the game for you?
Too late in the game for me. Again, last episode really was a jump the shark moment. This
Mhm.
is just sort of confirming that the absurdity of all of this is just not working out for me.
Yeah.
You can tell markedly so that they're trying to soften Galadriel in this episode, which it makes me wonder, where was this Galadriel in the last 6 episodes? Did she just need to get hit with a volcano to be at least an iota nicer to people?
She had to be
Because
woken up.
she had to be knocked in the face with a volcano in order. So yeah, it just, again, this just feels a little too late for me. I am not really interested in anything that's going on right now. There's a lot of things that I'll probably be making fun of in our conversation. But yeah, I mean, this isn't the type of energy you want for the second to last episode. I feel like they just started a certain storyline that I might be interested in, and now we're at the last episode, so I'm like, okay, well, I don't know where that's going to go.
Right.
But yeah, overall, pretty disappointed with everything, and yeah, not surprised. Not surprised.
Oh, that part. Not surprised. No, I definitely want to co-sign the too little, too late reference. This is definitely not me saying, "Oh my God, they saved the season." Nah, not even a little bit. That's not this. I want to make
Mhm.
that clear. With you saying that, I had to realize that my reference point for my initial impressions may give the impression that I'm like, oh, hey, they're getting on the right tracks. No, it's definitely the second to last episode. I was honestly pleasantly surprised that there was some continuity and some consistency to this episode, and that got me a little excited until they realized they did something right and they shot themselves in the other foot that they didn't shoot themselves in the last 6 episodes, as I said before.
They shot
Um,
themselves in the Harfoot.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. There
that's
we
a
go.
good job right there. That was good. That I had to even like, whoa, nice. However, it still rings of power. So with me
Yeah,
saying it that way,
that's exactly
um,
right. It still rings of power. That's
yeah,
that's the problem. And but this basically all starts with the aftermath of a giant volcano hitting everybody in the face. I'm calling
I just want to
bullshit.
say, I just want to. Yes, we're of course calling bullshit. We called bullshit last episode with her standing in the midst of it coming on. I
Mhm.
honestly didn't think we would have to call bullshit twice, but um, I appreciate that they left off in one place on episode 6 and picked up in the exact same place on episode 7. I feel like they should have been doing that more consistently, even if that's just the opening scene and then you don't go back to them. At least bring us back to where we left off. Give us some like, hey, here's where we were in the story. Now, you know what I mean?
I think you're
Um,
right about that for sure.
mhm,
But I also think that they thought that last episode was a cliffhanger,
they did. That
and
1,000% did.
that's why they wrapped it up in the episode. Like, so
Yeah,
they really
right.
thought that a giant volcano coming at everybody was a cliffhanger, and all of us were like, "Oh, are they gonna die?"
They thought it was
No.
interesting. Oh, how do I say that properly? They thought we gave a damn.
Yeah, I think they
We
thought
wanted
maybe
them to
we.
kill everybody.
Yeah, well, we did, but we knew that wasn't going to happen. So
Right.
I just don't understand why they thought that would have been a bigger moment than it actually was. But it makes sense now because we have a lot of this episode is people stumbling through the volcanic wasteland,
Hmm.
um, apparently separated from each other for some reason that doesn't make sense. Um,
Uh, the two people who are particularly together and separated from everyone else doesn't make sense.
mhm.
Um, and only those two being separated from the entire group doesn't make sense. But overall, there should have been about 4 or 5 different parties, in my opinion. That would make sense.
Yeah,
Everybody being scattered about.
Yeah, I got a question because I think I missed some things. I was trying to pay attention, but I think I definitely missed some things. So maybe you can
You
fill
said
in
I
the
got bored.
blanks.
Uh-huh.
Maybe I got bored. No, hopefully you can fill in the blanks for me. Okay, one, where did Isildur go?
A
Because
house
we.
collapsed on him when he went in the burning building.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Well, then we have collapsed on him. I mean,
yeah,
obviously we know he's going to be alive, but
clearly.
okay.
Wait,
And
that
and
part
they
pissed
didn't.
me off.
They
Just
didn't.
being clear.
The queen and his friends didn't decide to try to help, huh? They're just like,
No. So the
leave him in the
way,
burning house.
right, and this is kind of like right at the beginning, and the way that all goes down is he finds Valendil initially. Isildur does.
Hmm.
He finds Valendil. He asks him about Antonimo, and he's like, he was with me. Wow, I'm mad that I actually have this entire scene in my head right now. Like I can see it. He asks Valendil about Antonimo. Then the queen is behind, or the queen regent is behind him. We call her the queen now, but Muriel's behind him, and she calls to him, soldier. He responds to her, but then lets her know that he's trying to save another soldier, which is Valendil. she pulls the soldier, which you know what queen does that, but she pulls the soldier from under the wall as he lifts the wall, and after that they see Antonimo roll off, and then they run
Yeah.
into a burning building to save more people, and that's
Right.
how he gets trapped in there.
Oh, I honestly didn't know that it was explicit that he got trapped in that burning building.
Because
So,
right, so he was the first one in. He went, I guess where he was like further in. He had to hold up something for the people to run out.
hmm.
And as Muriel looks back in, and this is when I'm pretty sure this is the point at which she loses her sight, when her sight's affected. Yes, we haven't gotten quite to that part because we find out a little later Queen Muriel loses her sight. Um, this is
That
the
wasn't
moment.
shown, right?
No, technically it was, because the moment where the blowback from the fire and the ash smacked her in the face, that's when the
Ah,
house collapsed on Isildur.
okay, gotcha.
So you
Yeah,
had like a
see, so
crucial one
that's
about what
the
you were paying attention to.
right, and that's kind of a problem because I missed one moment in this thing, and I had two different questions: where's the seal door, and how the hell did the queen become blind?
In the exact same moment. That's
In the
and
exact
that's the
same
funny
moment,
thing, because
right?
that's how you missed it, is because it's in the exact same moment.
Right. Okay. Okay. That thanks. That makes a lot more sense. I was sure I did miss something, but sometimes these
It
scenes
was
are
quick.
yeah. Sometimes these scenes are so subtle that, like, if I'm eating and like we're having dinner and watching it,
Mhm.
if I look down for a second to
Oh, that's a wrap.
get some food, it's like it's over.
Yeah, that's a
Um,
wrap. I've
but
made that mistake and had to pause and rewind so many times that
yeah,
you just can't do it. And I guess that's actually something to be said to the viewer. Like, if you're too occupied when you're watching this, you might enjoy it maybe a little more than if you're giving it 1,000% attention, because you're gonna be dissecting everything when you're giving it so much attention. But if you're watching this in passing, you might really get some good entertainment because you're not gonna be so hung up on the story.
mhm.
And
Yeah.
especially if you're not a big a Lord of the Rings fan already, like if this is just an in passing thing for you, yeah, you can find some pleasantries in this.
Yeah, I think you probably could find a few things that you were interested in, but with our high fantasy and stuff, this is just I don't know if it's even a good generic high fantasy. High fantasy, I think it's the story lacks. The story lacks, and
Mhm.
so I can tell that they're already starting to pivot Galadriel, but it doesn't feel like it was a natural, organic process. Because especially in this episode, they made a point about softening her
Mhm.
and showing her a little bit more of her humanity.
I feel
I
like she was in shock the whole episode, honestly.
maybe
I
maybe
feel like
she'll
her,
snap out of it.
yeah, I feel like that's what I mean when I say her waking up, that like that was more of a joke of she's this new person because of what she just went through. But I think she's gonna snap right back. Also, she has to show a level of accountability in her journey home to talk to Galgalad, or Gal. Yeah, I think that's how you say it. Um, so they have to show this, in my opinion, what we're seeing. They have to show her in this light in which she has understanding of her wrongs before they're rained down upon her, like, fire and brimstone, because that's what's gonna happen. I don't know why they're acting like they don't know, or we're not supposed to know. Oh no, that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, of course. I mean, again, she was supposed to be in Valinor already, and she
Mhm.
decided to defect
They're gonna blame
again
her for the blight.
against the king's orders. Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah, they probably will, and it is technically her fault because she brought Halbrand back.
Yep.
Um, who is mortally wounded
Yeah,
and
whatever.
needs immediate medical attention, but apparently only elvish medicine can heal him.
And
Too
apparently he can
bad.
still ride a horse.
Oh yeah, he can ride a horse, but even if he does ride a horse, it will take him about 2 months to get to the elvish kingdom.
I'm trying to figure
It's
out
yeah.
what's the deal here. Nobody knows how he was injured.
Nobody knows how he's injured. Right.
Hell of a
Good point.
warrior. I don't think it was an orc. I'm just saying.
Could have been Adar, maybe.
On the escape, maybe. Oh,
Maybe Adar realized
there's a
who he
flashback coming.
was, and then he tried to kill him again.
Yeah, there's a flashback coming.
Yeah.
there has to be a flashback on me. I feel like that wound, especially the fact that he's able to get up and ride off. Like, I know we jumped all the way for a moment, but we'll get to it.
That's all right.
I am really waiting to get the meat and potatoes on the Halbrand background because we've been thrown all of this. I'll call it what it is, bullshit fodder, because
Mhm.
it's we haven't been giving anything solid on Halbrand. Even the things we see are clearly fabricated by Halbrand for the viewing of who he wants you to think he is. So
Yeah.
the only time we saw him really get busy as far as fighting was when he was beating up the Smiths, right, in
Mhm.
Numenor. Even when he's suited up, we see him kill a couple of people, but we don't see him really having to fight. But then when we fast forward here, we see him injured. And I mean, shoot, I had in my notes, where the hell is Halbrand? And then when we finally found out where he was, and I was like, all right, let me scratch that out. But that's to my point of, if he could have just got up and hopped on a horse, did he have to know exactly where to go for help, or he couldn't have just been going out looking for help?
No, this is the problem with all of these mystery boxes that they keep putting out there. Who is Halbrand? Who is the stranger? Where is Sauron? Now that we got more information on Adar, that's not a question anymore. But um, Halbrand has been sort of teased over and over and over again about who he is, and I feel like even we're just getting like you said, just a whole bunch of BS, like stringing us along. And it makes me think, like, how much better would this show have been if the audience was let into one of the secrets and then had the character have to navigate keeping that a secret? Like, for instance, let's say that the audience knew that Halbrand was Sauron. How much better could you write a story if the audience actually knew? He's deceiving Galadriel, he's deceiving Numenor, he's getting them to work in his own aims. See,
Right.
all of this is predicated on this big reveal at the end that everybody's going to be like, like mind melted, and we're going to have to go back and watch everything all over again to see it
That's
in the
not
context. And it's not going to happen that way.
gonna
They're not going to be able to pull that off because it's too convoluted as it is.
Yeah, no.
So I think they should have.
Happen.
Yeah,
We
I
would
think
have
they should have
to-
let the audience in.
I agree. For that to happen, they would have to do one of, I'll say three. No, let's say two things for now. They would have to make this painstakingly too similar to the storyline of the Lord of the Rings, or they would have to create something totally outside of the Lord of the Rings, and they're trying to keep this right on the edge of what that is. They're not trying to
Yeah,
be too new, and I think that holds them
yeah.
back from being able to give too much. Like, they have to leave that mystery so we can think it's going to relate to the stories we already know.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, like, we know that the big reveal will be the appearance of Sauron.
Yeah.
Aside from that, and who the stranger is. Those are the
Right.
only two mysteries really that we're working on right now.
Right.
And
we got Mount Doom, Mordor, and a Balrog in 2 episodes.
Yeah. But I mean, to me, that doesn't add anything to the answer of where Sauron is, who Sauron is, or what the stranger is up to. And so Halbrand and the stranger have been these mysteries this entire season.
Right.
Whereas I think that if you had just given us some information as to maybe let us know that Halbrand's up to something. Mm-hmm. Because at this point, if he does turn out to be Sauron, it's going to be like, well, even the show wasn't trying to let us know that he was
right.
Sauron, because him and Galadriel have this moment where they're staring at each other again.
I thought it was about to be some elf human busy going on.
Well, they're clearly hinting.
That could still happen.
I mean, they just in the last episode they were talking about how turned on they got while they were killing people together. So, it could still definitely happen, but that would most certainly ruin a lot of things.
It ruined the entire show.
Yeah.
But the entire, like, the lineage, what I was saying about the things that we've seen in the last 2 episodes, they're all leading right to Sauron. Like, there's nothing. I couldn't imagine what else is at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, but we're not going to get that at the end of this
I
episode.
don't
This
think
is the
we are.
last
I don't think
episode.
we're gonna find out anything about the stranger either. We still don't know who the mystery people are, the mystery
Right.
stalkers. We're still trying to figure out
Priests.
who those three ladies are. Oh, those are
Yeah.
priests. Well, priestess.
Priestesses of
Yeah,
Morgoth. Yeah.
I was gonna say in the times of then, though, not in the times of now.
Right. Yeah.
Wait, Morgoth? Morgoth is the bad guy.
Morgoth is well, there's Melkor, Morgoth, and then Sauron in that succession, I think. Yeah.
Oh, I feel really melancholy about it all.
Yeah. And that's because you just don't have any information about it. You can only create a mystery for so long before people just stop caring.
Right.
How many times does the stranger have to be, exhibit his powers and then have the Harfoots reject him? That was happening all season. And now finally we're getting a moment where there's going to be an adventure to go find him. Which that should have been episode 3.
Agreed.
That should have been episode 3. They should have kicked him out at the end of episode 2. And then at episode 3, they should have been like, we need to go find this dude.
Which episode was the fire? That was episode 4, no? Or episode 3?
I don't know. What do you mean, which fire?
The fire where he accidentally set the paper on fire and burnt their camp the first time.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I forget which episode that was. Yeah.
This should have been happening that episode. That's when they should have kicked him out.
Right. And then you could have had a whole adventure where we didn't have to be with all of the damn Harfoots because they're all annoying, and you could have focused on 4 Harfoots. You know,
I was over here trying to think of a polite way to say the Harfoots are annoying as shit, and you say they're all annoying, and I'm like, yeah, that part.
Oh, they're super annoying.
The moment where he's like, Malva, if only you weren't right all the time. I'm like, bruh, no.
Yeah. Don't do that.
Don't do it. Like, I got your back, big dog. Just know that's not the way to go.
Mm-mm.
During, what is her name? His wife, Disa. Listen, Disa, I like her, but near the end of that little storyline they had, she was starting to come off real Bond villainish.
Yeah, there's a big heel turn there, isn't there?
Yeah.
It's just all of a sudden she's like, now the mountain is ours. We're going to rule everything.
It's all in verbiage. Yeah, it's all in verbiage. Like, you're sitting there and you're like, yeah, Disa, you tell him what to. Yeah. Hey, Durin, run.
Apparently, yeah. Well, we've only ever seen her cook dinner and maybe sing a song. You know what I mean?
Sing a song, cook dinner, raise her children.
Yeah.
And forge an axe.
Right.
And that's one of the coldest looking axes I've seen in a long time. And it's clearly going to be the subject of some discussion because we saw her forge it. They made sure to hone in on it when she put it into the water so it will cool, or I'm not sure, I guess the oil or whatever, when she put it in to cool off. And when they went back in after the entire discussion with his father and all that we'll talk about, that was the first thing they showed in the shot when they re-entered their domain. It shot in on the axe and then it panned over to where they were. And I'm like, whoa, what's up with the axe? And that's when she had the change of heart. Like, it's like she got real sinister, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But that's also after we see the Balrog. No, that's before we see the
Balrog. Yeah.
That's actually right before we see the Balrog.
Yeah. Maybe they're trying to suggest that she's being corrupted. For some reason, I'm not sure.
The blight has to go somewhere.
I guess, but they're right next to all that mithril. So how would the blight even exist if all of that mithril is everywhere?
So I have a theory on that. The mithril is created from charged energy. So at that point, it absorbs energy. It doesn't as much as cure. It just absorbs energy. That's why it also reflects any light, because it's absorbing darkness and reflecting light, but it still has the powers of both. It has to have the powers of both to do shit like that. That's why the Balrog comes back when he tosses the leaf in there. But the negative energy is being absorbed into the rock, so it's going into the mountain, and thus it's affecting the dwarves.
Yeah, maybe. It would make sense if Mithril actually was like that and not just a very rare, strong metal that had no corrupting powers.
Oh, yeah, you did explain it was like vibranium.
It's basically vibranium. There is no corrupting power to Mithril. It's just a very rare, strong metal.
Oh, well, they're
Yeah.
making shit up then.
Yeah, they're absolutely making up because this whole blight thing is dumb too. Because, and even Durin says it, and I'm so glad he said it. Durin Senior, Durin Senior says it when he's talking to little Durin. He said, you know, the elves' fate has been written since the
Yeah.
beginning.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
How about they
Are
leave Middle Earth and go home?
Yes, exactly. And that's exactly right. I was so glad that he said it. I just don't understand why the story doesn't understand that. Maybe it's because he's going to be the only one that was right about the whole thing in the first place. But you know, like him saying let the elves be fated to their destiny is correct because Tolkien's universe is very deterministic. It's especially with the elves. The elves have a very they have seen the scope of eternity and know when the song will culminate to its finish. They've seen the end of the world already. So
So,
they're just there to act it out.
goddamn elves.
Yeah.
With that being said, speaking of an elf, do you think it's Galadriel's fault as she believes,
I mean,
or do you think it's Theo's fault as he believes? So we'll talk about that part.
it's everybody's fault. First of all, it's Muriel's fault for following them into a blind battle where she had no clue. I mean, yeah, the
Her father was
poetry,
prophetic.
the poetry of them going in blind and then her becoming blind. I know what they were trying to do with that, but it was a
Well,
little
also
little bit
that
too
yes, but
obvious.
also the poetry of her father saying the only thing that's there for her in Middle Earth is darkness.
Right. Or
Oh,
grayness, as she would
great,
say.
yeah, greatness is
Grayness.
what she sees. But
Yeah.
but he did say dark, and I was like, oh wow, wow, that's power, because that's what jumped off to me, like when he said that, and then her, that realization. Would that be a realization or actualization?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, it's a bullshitization, to be honest. I like that her whole thing was like, I don't want them to find out I'm blind, and then she's sitting on a
Yeah, I
mountaintop
didn't get
with a
that. That's so
blindfold on,
simple. So dang
like like
simple.
like Kenshi from Mortal Kombat.
That's literally the cloth they had.
It's literally the cloth. Yeah.
It's not even Numenor colors.
No, they purposely made it like a Kenshi eye mask.
And then for her, never mind. I'm not, because here's me. This is just my thoughts. If
Mhm.
you're the Queen Regent and you lose your sight, nobody has to know anyway, because you're the Queen Regent. You don't have to be out in front of everybody. So the fact that you are basically
It's true.
parading yourself in this fashion, but then you say don't tell anybody, and now all of a sudden you and Galadriel are best friends, that to me sounds like some level of corruption.
Yeah. Well, and I think that that's kind of like a means of convenience for the writing too, because it's like anything that seems off, we as an audience sort of
Can't blame it on
relegate
her.
it.
Yep.
We can sort of relegate it on, well, maybe it's Sauron influencing, but I feel like at the end of all of this, we're going to be looking back and like, no, that really was just bad characterization.
Well, like Elendil, right?
Hmm.
The friend of Elf. When he
Yeah.
loses his son now, oh, I never should have saved that elf. Oh, I did the wrong thing. Bro, do you know how many soldiers you lost?
Yeah, it was your idea, man.
And it's your son, so I'm not even gonna feel away. But
I'm
he was a
also,
soldier at this point.
but nobody told him what happened to his son.
But they're afraid of him. Didn't you notice?
Well, yeah, I noticed, but it's not like they had a conversation about he's dead, and we all know he's not
He's
dead.
not dead. Yeah, he's not
So
dead.
why not just have Elendil not? Not go with the Numenorians and stay on Middle Earth to go find his son.
I feel like his horse was charging right back towards him.
That's exactly what he was doing.
The slant of the roof is that's what saves Isildur. The
Right.
roof's gonna be slanted over him, and he's just gonna be under there. And then when they go back, he's gonna somehow be done survive, but he'll lost a little bit of weight. He'll be done lost a
Mm.
little bit of weight, and then he's gonna have his horse, and he's gonna roam the countryside. And then not immediately, but not too long before um Numenor returns, he's gonna find Galadriel. Um, Galadriel, or he's either gonna find Galadriel or he's gonna find the new settlement for the displaced Southlanders.
Yeah, or I think that he might go on his own journey to find out that Halbrand is not who everybody thinks he is,
You know what?
because
That
he's going to end up being the king of
Numenor, right?
men. Yeah, he's going to be the
Oh,
king
wait,
of
wait, wait.
men. Yeah, he's going to be the king in Middle Earth, not in Numenor. Yeah.
Baller.
So
Okay.
yeah, so he's definitely going to have to figure out what's going on at some point. So I would guess that his journey is going to be like he's going to find out that Halbrand is not who everybody thinks he is, and
Mhm.
maybe has to confront him.
Okay. I like that theory right there, the way that's running. That actually probably sounds like one of the funner storylines that we could get out of this.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so after Durin the Third declines to help the elves and burdens them to their own death, Galadriel talks to Theo, which Theo thinks is his fault. She tells him don't take on that burden because he'll never be able to put it down. I thought that was nice of her. But that's what you were getting at about them just making Galadriel this whole new sensitive ass person.
Right. Yeah.
But overall, Theo is bestowed becomes a soldier up under Galadriel, which to me furthers the point that he's half elf, but we still
Right.
haven't seen his ears. Even though when he seen Papa, he ran over there and gave him a big old hug. Just tell us that's his
another
daddy.
mystery, right? Another damn mystery that
And it's supposed to make sense because there's no black people in the Southland apparently. So because the one black elf was there and he's a little dark skinned, that has to be his
right,
dad.
right, of course. Yeah.
It took me a few episodes to put that together, but I
I
figured
mean, although I will say that there is really, it's very difficult to tell because everybody has like an inch of shit all over their face.
this is a fact.
Oh my
Theo
god!
had so much dirt on his face. I thought he had a mustache.
Yeah, it seriously looked like it. I am so sick and creators take note. I don't need 100% accuracy, and to be honest, it's not even that accurate because we've seen these motherfuckers near streams. We've seen them near rivers. Also, I mean, we literally saw. I mean,
Wash your face.
the Harfoots, the Harfoot girl catching water, in the stream. Why not just put a little bit on your face? You're right there.
Definitely Jack and Jill in it.
But everybody's got like a thick layer of crap all over their face at all times, and it just drives me insane because there are only the main characters, are not the main characters. It's really Bronwyn and Arondir never have shit on their face.
Never.
They never have shit on their face. Everybody else.
Bronwyn even had an extra red tint to her hair, making her look like
Bronwyn's got eyebrow pencils in Middle Earth. That's for sure.
Facts. But she was looking like what was her name? Melisandre from House from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Just like her. I was like, they are connected.
Yeah. She's a witch.
Fire witch right here.
Yeah. So I mean, it would be nice if we could just have characters that don't constantly have dirt caked all over their faces. Yeah.
What's the purpose of the stranger and his solo journey?
Oh man, the stranger has been one of the most frustrating parts of this show, to be honest, because it had a lot of promise, but it just served as a sort of a teaser the entire season. I still don't know what the deal with him is. We see that his magic does work, but it might have dualistic properties, just like the Mithril, which is also, which they're trying to be very heavy-handed about this idea that there isn't like a definitive evil. And let me just say, I'm going to go off for just 1 second here. This is a very I'm starting to pick up themes about the subtlety of evil and sort of the nuance of evil and how evil can be layered within good people. And I think that that's okay, but it is starting to make me wonder how far they're going to veer from Tolkien, because Tolkien very clearly said that there were evil and then there was good. And yes, some people fell in between, but there was a definitive evil. And I'm starting to feel like with Adar, he's a sympathetic villain. Galadriel, she's clearly evil, but she's also our hero. You have all of the Halbrand, who seems like he's going to be the sympathetic version of Sauron, and the Stranger, who kills and gives life at the same time. So I think they're kind of blurring the lines between good and evil, and I think they're doing that as an aesthetic idea and sort of like an intellectual decision. But I think it's dumb because it sort of flies in the face of what Tolkien's world was. Which is that there were very clear lines between good and evil. And yes, you could cross those lines, but there wasn't, like this gradation of things. It's a very modernist idea, which Tolkien would have hated.
I think it's that's to explain it. The best way for me to explain, and I understand everything you said, but to add, it's like you're waiting for Damon Wayans to jump out and say message. Like it's like how often do you think you're sitting there waiting for that though? Like every episode.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But how many times do you think that's happening in episode 2, 3?
Because
I see it. I started kind of blocking it out. Like I saw it jump out on me on this one.
Yeah.
But I want to say like the last episode or two, I just wasn't even paying attention to it, honestly.
Yeah. What's interesting is that you can turn your brain off from it after the first few episodes, because it does get a little bit jarring. And to be fair, there isn't a heavy-handed messaging thing going on, but I do see the and this is just a product of sort of our times we're living in, when we're trying to look at a piece of work that's like 100 years old. It had a different aesthetic, it had a different idea, different philosophy surrounding it. And as modern people, we reject this idea that there is cut and dry good and evil. And so we won't allow that in our storytelling because that's boring and it's uninteresting. When really it's just like this to me, it's like an apologist view of evil. It's like, yeah, they did some bad things, but they're just misunderstood. And it's like, okay, that works sometimes, but Hollywood has really gotten into that lane where it's like all the villains now are sympathetic villains. And I think Disney really capitalized off of that with things like Maleficent, and a lot of their other stuff.
That was a great movie.
It's good. I'm not going to say it's bad. I'm just... Yeah, it's just this theme of now the villain that was just a clear-cut villain, it has to be nuanced and it has to be subtle, and you have to have sympathy for the devil. And it's like sometimes you don't want to have sympathy for the devil. Sometimes you just want a good villain.
There's a movie coming out literally called Pray for the Devil.
Oh, I'm sure there is.
Yeah. And it's like, I know this is supposed to center around an exorcism, but I'm not sure. Yeah, with that, speaking of religious things, Galadriel was married?
Yes, and I'm glad they finally said it, because she's still married. In fact, Elrond in Lord of the Rings is married to her daughter, Galadriel's daughter.
Oh,
yeah.
That's out of pocket.
Yes, but it is like 500 years after the child is born, so I guess
he's like 4,000, she's 500.
Yeah, I know, man. It's the same Game of Thrones stuff.
I wasn't gonna go that far, but if we're living eons, technically.
Yeah. We got a comment here from Corey. He said ESG scores in morality. Adar is bad because of ecological devastation, not murdering people. Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. We know all about what you're speaking of, and yeah. It's unfortunate because it definitely it ruins the story, and it ruins the narrative because you just see it coming from a mile away.
Yeah. It smacks you in the face. But that's why I asked about how many times do we think we see it? Yes, Big Mike, that that is one of those shows as well where it is heavy-handed in Lucifer was the show that he referenced in his comment just now.
Hmm.
That's another show that is very heavy-handed and like, hey, you see how terrible this entity is? Well, you know he can do some good. Look, he's
Yeah.
helping the cops.
And
He
it's really
he shut
God.
down the bad guy.
It's really God that's the oppressive one, because he hates Lucifer and he never gives him a fair shake. And all
Yeah,
Lucifer
that's what
wants
they're
is
telling you.
love from his daddy.
That's what they're telling you.
Yeah.
I've seen enough clips of that show. I don't think I've ever watched a full episode, but I know I've seen enough clips of that show to realize exactly what you just said, Nick, is kind of what they're hinting
Oh
at.
yeah. Yeah. No, I
Like,
mean, it ends up being a storyline for a bit, I believe. Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, that's
But
all
yeah,
to
in
say.
this,
Yeah,
but no, I
that's
was
all
just
this.
gonna add.
Yeah, go
In
ahead.
this, I can say it's part of the fantastical part though that allows me personally to like, nah, I'm not gonna assume that's what they were trying to do. That was pretty close, but I'm not gonna assume it. It's purely the fantasy side. Like,
Well,
if
that
they
would
didn't
be
even not have such fantastical names, it would probably be harder for me.
yeah. Well, that would be one thing if it was written back 100 years ago, like Lord of the Rings. Tolkien very famously said he hated allegory because a lot of people saw Lord of the Rings as an allegory for World War One, and how the birth of the Industrial Revolution was a lot like Sauron sweeping a cloud across the countryside because he was a British man. And it's it is sort of like there's a parallel there between the sort of agrarian British pre-World
I'm
War
not.
One life and then
Yeah, I just want to
post-industrial
share.
revolution. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing. My mind just got blown.
Oh yeah, yeah. But I
I've never
mean,
heard that before.
but Tolkien himself said he hated allegory and he refused that outright, even though I think a lot of people feel like that's the case, and then the Eagles become the Americans because they come in at the last minute to help save the day. There is parallels there, but I mean to say that because Tolkien very vehemently was against allegory, it's annoying that they're trying to put modern allegory and modern representation and metaphor into this story, because he would have hated that. He's very much about the hero's journey, the battle between good and evil. There is an innate catharsis in that story that helps revivify the soul, and he knew that. He knew that. And that's something that I think we lost a little bit because we're cynical now, and we
Yeah.
don't want to have the plain basic bitch ideas because we're
Oh,
smart. We're smarter than those people 100 years ago. Come on.
I realized I could tell you exactly the line of that will help you. I always tell people watch comedy. That's how you'll know where society is with things that are going on.
Mhm.
We went from people being able to just tell honest, wholeheartedly, humble, even not even nasty kind of jokes. Then you had to start telling personal stories. And you went from that to now you got to just make up some egregious, outrageous shit about somebody that people kind of know.
Right.
And you don't have to be funny on top of that. You can actually just sit around and tell stories. Like, hey, buddy, let me tell you what I did. It's basically cooler talk. Like everything is water cooler talk nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah, Carlin was really good about that. In his commentary about the softening of language, I think that's a really good bit where he talks about how we used to call shell shock, or how we used to call PTSD shell shock, and then we called it battle fatigue, and then we called it post-traumatic stress disorder. And he's like, no, we need to go back to shell shock. It was illustrative. It was accurate. Now we have all of these fluffy filler words that ambiguate the meaning of what we're trying to say.
Right. People don't even say the words anymore. They find acronyms now.
Yeah.
It's
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
PTSD. Yeah.
It's yeah. It's unfortunate that we can't just let people know what's going on. But within the creative side of things, I think it has to be revitalized, because if you're not allowed to be creative, then everything becomes propaganda, which is kind of where we are.
I think it's just also cynicism. We've decided that cynicism is of the highest intellectual capital, And
Mhm.
so if you're intelligent, you're almost expected to be cynical about the worldviews and outlooks, and especially surrounding storytelling. That's why, all of the edgy directors that consider themselves intellectuals never have happy endings anymore, because that's way too normal. That we want to be subversive. We
That's
want
too
to,
crying game.
yeah, it's just, like, and they see it as a marker of their intelligence that they can have anti-cathartic storytelling, when they're actually sort of chipping away at the metaphysical aspects of themselves when they do that. Because those stories, those mythologies are stuck around with us to fortify our souls, to fortify our egos, and to fortify our outlooks on life.
And art's not usually made by the most intelligent people. That always blows my mind when, hey, I'm an artist, but I'm the smartest person you ever met. Like, then
Mm,
one of those two things are a lie,
right,
just so you know.
right. Corey's here again. Thanks for your chat, Corey. We appreciate it. The Silmarillion is so much more epic and tragic than even Lord of the Rings. This take on Rings of Power modernism is just ridiculous in comparison. It's like a CW style teen soap opera in
Yep.
Middle Earth. It really is. It's Days of Our Lives in Middle Earth for
Yeah,
sure.
I want to
Yeah.
say it might have been our second or third review, episode review, when we had about that exact same discussion.
Yeah.
This definitely, and I can't even say, at first I think I said it carried a novella feel. Novellas are much more entertaining,
Hmm. Oh
but
yeah, absolutely.
Nick definitely, we definitely tread along that exact same line. This
At
is a
least,
very
at
cheap
least,
soap opera,
yeah. At least there's
and
evil twins in novellas,
yes, and
which
that's
is
what you
always
said, and
fun.
that's when I was like, "Dang, you're right." Like novellas win. Now it can't even be a
Yeah.
novella because the evil twin situation. Unless
Right.
there's another Durin. If Durin's brother is like now that
He's evil Durin. I like that.
if
I'll be
there's an
down
evil
for that.
Durin, they
Yeah.
could check. They could win. But
But to your comment, Corey, the Silmarillion is definitely way more epic and tragic. There's a lot going on in the Silmarillion. It's a quite a big epic creation myth that Tolkien just never really got to fully flesh out. But the bones of it are really beautiful, and this is the first time you get to see like blood. Yeah, it's kind of like there's a Cain and Abel story in there where you see the first murder, and the first kinslaying taking place, and the war between good and evil and all that stuff. Yeah, it's very
that's
cool.
okay. Look at that.
Silmarillion's great. I can only get about halfway in, and then all of a sudden, my brain just shuts off. Though
It's too much information.
it's very difficult. Like you have to remember lots of names and locations and the relationships to all of those names and locations. And yeah,
You have to become one with the Silmarillion.
me not so smart. So
Allow I to respond.
yes.
But but so Durin and Elrond are having a moment in the Mithril cave. This is after the king has already said no. Elrond has taken his leave. However, the Mithril piece that is on the table cures the leaf that has the blight.
Where did
And
that leaf come from? Is it the one that
Elrond,
Elrond brought? Okay.
yeah, I'm assuming that's the one Elrond brought to show what was going on.
Oh, bro,
Um,
Durin's shuffleboard skills are legendary.
oh
He
yeah,
he, he
you saw
skated
that.
that mithril right across that table, and it just went right up to the edge. That was beautiful.
He's been on way too many cruises, that's for sure.
Yes, yes.
Um, but so how do I didn't care for the way that went, like having it heal or fix it in that nature. Um, because that let me know they were starting to speed things up again. They
Mhm.
like that's one of the moments where I was like, they realized they were giving us too much. They were giving us too much. We were enjoying it. We were
Yeah,
actually
it's
enjoying the show.
it's funny because like there are moments where I feel like everything is dragging on way too slow. There's long pregnant pauses and lots of staring. And then there are moments, like you said, that feel like they just get glossed over very quickly.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, you're right. There is a kind of like a weird pacing problem with this show as
Oh
well.
yeah.
Yeah.
The whole series. But so they go to the cave and they have this touching moment where Elrond's speaking to Durin, and Durin's letting him know he views him as somewhat of a brother. Elrond's telling him, I let you in because I needed more time out of you, and it's like, yeah, all right, whatever, bro. But Durin is about to tell Elrond his secret name, which I'm like, wait, dwarves have secret names? Like, all right, like
Mm,
that's pretty
you
interesting.
know, oh man, I'm gonna get so canceled for saying this, but I got a little bit of the Brokeback Mountain vibes from that scene.
Yeah,
And I use that reference particularly because the word mountain is in it.
right.
But yeah, I did feel like they were kind of. I know that they're trying to do this bromance thing, and I think for what it's worth, Durin and Elrond do work well together. I think that they have a good chemistry, and it seems like those are whoever's writing Durin and Elrond stuff is not writing the other stuff, so they seem to be
You
doing a
noticed too?
yeah, they seem to be doing pretty decent. So that's fine.
Maybe they're
Um,
the actual the writers that are actual fans of the series and the lore.
yeah, maybe. I think it's also just a little bit easier to have to write within the dynamics between a dwarf and an elf
Hmm.
because their identities are so very already established. You know what a proto, or like a stereotypical elf is going to be like, and then a stereotypical dwarf, and then you just kind of push them together. It's the Gimli Legolas thing. They know that it works, so they want to have that or elf and dwarf dynamic.
Dynamic.
Um,
Fair enough.
yeah, because it does work. It does work a little bit, and I do kind of believe that they have a friendship. Um, I the Balrog thing. Balrogs are not supposed to be awakened in this age. They shouldn't be awake for another for 2000 ish years. um, so
Well,
who
the question
knows?
is anybody gonna see the Balrog, or do we just see this presence
Right,
of one, and
right.
he's gonna be in the cave forever?
I think they might be truncating some things because I think that this Balrog, the Balrog's particular name is Durin's Bane, but I think it's supposed to kill a Durin that's like a few generations away. But it might be that this Balrog kills
During
Durin
the third.
Senior. Yeah, Durin Senior, and then that's why Durin becomes the king. Maybe I don't know.
That's what I was thinking. That's
Yeah,
that's the only thing that makes sense to me,
right,
because during the current king is the one who birthed him at this point.
right.
Um, but and that's what I was gonna get to is they have that moment, and then you see Durin burst through, only for them to turn and see the king. Like, oh, what made Elrond think he could speak to that man? I don't know, but he's clearly never been over any of his friends' house when they get in trouble. Um,
Yeah, yeah. You're supposed to keep your mouth shut.
shut. The
Yeah,
only thing you say is yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am.
right.
That's it. Why? Because that ain't your parent, so they're gonna restrain you from trying to whoop your ass. But if you step out of line, they already got the green light.
Oh yeah,
Just like
yeah.
you wouldn't be spending the night at their house. Never mind. Sorry.
Right, right. Your parents called ahead
Traumatic
and said,
sleepover.
"Hey, you can spank them if you need to."
Right. Look, traumatic sleepover experiences.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, so we get Elrond gets kicked out, and then Durin
Mhm.
has this conversation with Disa about they need to take their place
Take
in
their
this world. They need to take what's theirs, and all of
power
a sudden it
out,
became Game of Thrones, and
bruh.
like,
All of the sudden, it became Game of Thrones
yeah,
for
yeah,
real.
it really did. It really did. Uh,
But so the discussion between uh the two Durins, Durin third and Durin King Durin and Prince Durin, that
mhm,
was just so weak. Like he stood up to his father, and I
mhm.
thought that was dope. And I thought because he stood up to his father, there was going to be this big um back and forth. However, with the back and forth, I expected him to be taken stripped of his title,
Mhm.
and I expected him to simultaneously, break his father down. And all that happened was this: I'm going to yank off your sigil and walk away. Like, come on, bruh. Tell him he's still wrong.
Yeah, he did
Stand
get
stand up to
stripped,
yourself.
right? Corey again here. Thanks for the comment. The Durins are supposed to be like elected as the reincarnated Durin. It's not hereditary junior of the previous Durin. Okay, gotcha.
That
I
makes
wasn't aware of that. Thank you for the distinction and the clarification. So it would be a title,
Yeah, I
which
think
kind of
that's
makes
what he
sense.
meant
Yeah,
by the secret name situation. Like it's a
that's
gift. Because
probably right.
Durin
Yeah.
did say that it's I can't remember the word he used, but it was like you're granted the name during, or you're granted the name of your father, not per se that you're given, like you have to have it.
Yeah, you have to like earn it or be worthy of it, right? You have to be
Like
worthy of the title. Yeah.
like his children, none of his children are named during the fifth.
Right. Right. That makes sense. Okay. I like it.
Sounds like a
Um,
King Henry type of situation.
right. Right. Oh yeah. Chief callback to the MCU Thor scene. That's right. Thor, son of Odin.
Oh snap!
Right. Odin's son.
Odin's
Thor
son.
Odinson. Yeah.
Dang son.
But Thor being well, they claimed that Thor was just a mantle when we all know that that's not true.
Sure.
It's not just a a name
Right. I like that
or
the
title.
Harfoots got all the apples because of the stranger in his axe, even though we already kind of talked about they're kind of painting that, oh, there's going to be some good and bad. It's almost like alchemy. They're painting his magic works like alchemy, like you have to
Yeah.
give and take at the same time. However, look, Nori's getting on my like all the Harfoots are a little annoying, but Nori, like, bruh, shut up.
All of them are really just crap at this point.
Because I mean, there was just no reason for her to speak to the three.
To
The three mysterious.
Oh, right.
reasons.
She totally puts the entire group in jeopardy, and now I understand why they wanted to leave her behind.
Man,
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's dumb. She didn't need to jump out at that moment. If you knew that they were looking for the stranger, maybe you should have stayed hidden until they left.
Mhm.
Yeah, I get it for
Or
sure.
because she wanted to help him, ma'am, you can't help him. Not from them,
Oh, certainly
particularly.
not. Yeah. Yeah, that's just another one of those things where it's like, well, we got to make sure we got to thrust them out into the world. So now we have to burn their home so that they can go look for the stranger. But again, something that should have happened in episode 2 or 3.
Mhm.
Should have had that happen way early because that's the beginning of the hero's journey. You're basically setting up a hero's journey at the end of the season.
Yeah, he should
So
have. He should have been kicked out before he goes on the journey with them.
right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I don't know. What else do we got? There's other things, maybe. I don't really care.
Uh, Elendil says that he regrets helping Galadriel.
Right.
To his peril, Muriel vows that Numenor will return. But I agree with Galadriel. I don't think her ass is coming back.
Yeah,
And
she's
for
gonna
what
have a lot of problems once she gets back to Numenor.
and
So
that's really what it looks like. It's like, bro, for what reason would they agree to come back? Not because you don't want them to come back as the Queen Regent. Yeah, you might want to. We look what they did to my eyes. I have to get. You won't be in charge the moment you dock. I just want you to know that.
right. Yeah. And now your top commander doesn't even want to go back.
Oh my god.
So
And he's gonna 1000% be on I forget the other guy's name.
Farazan.
Farazan. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
gonna support Farazan from Hilt. And
Maybe.
at the end of the day, his daughter, I'm sure at this point has taken some type of office under Farazan. I guarantee it.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Because how long have they been gone? They've been gone for some time, and she was already seemingly moving into something of that nature.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. And then we're going to get a lot of more Game of Thronesy elements in season 2, I think.
I'm kind of for it. If it picks up, if it makes it as decent as like the middle 30, 25 minutes of this was, okay, fine. Yes,
The
middle.
middle 30, 25 minutes.
There was a good chunk in here that could have been a nice little episode or something.
That is how we polish a turd. That's for
Yes,
sure.
yes. I can't put no elbow grease in that; it's too soft.
Yeah.
But
Let's see.
but
Corey here again. We got there should have been something happened with not Gandalf in 10 hours of the show.
Agreed.
Maybe. Yeah,
Yeah.
scared wolves, healed arms. That's about it. Killed fireflies. Yeah, and we
Yep.
still don't know what the hell the constellation is supposed to be. It looks like it's Orion, but obviously this is a different world. So why
you
would
said
it
you
be
think the
Orion?
stranger's name is Orion. What?
No, the constellation. But yeah, that was I could definitely agree with you there, Corey. We don't really know a whole lot. It's been
Nope.
one big mystery box MacGuffin thing that just didn't pan out. And now at this point, it's like everybody calls him not Gandalf as like a meme, but
Right.
what could they possibly do to surprise anybody at this point? I think that the best they could do is claim that it's a blue wizard or
He's gonna
not
be a
Gandalf,
stranger. I think
just the
what they
stranger. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's just gonna stay the stranger. He's gonna be some
Oh,
random
they just
wizard.
never label him, huh?
Yeah, and
Oh, that would
for
be
those who
sneaky.
are familiar, when we get around to like the next few seasons and he's around, he will get a name, but it won't be anything that people are aware of. And that part's going to be disappointing because everybody's like, "Oh my God, who is he? Is he Gandalf? Oh, he's not Gandalf. Oh, he's Sauron," which we all thought at the very beginning, and then we all realized how stupid that was.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. When
Yeah,
he does eventually meet Galadriel, he is going to bow and he's going to be in awe of her sheer
you know what?
amazingness.
He hasn't met any elves at all, so it's plausible.
I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't. Maybe he will. There are, he might recognize them. If he's a Maiar, then he might be like, hey, I know you guys.
Because they're all eternal, yeah?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. The elves and the Maiar could interact with each other in Valinor.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I mean, maybe he would recognize Galadriel. That would be hilarious. And it's like he's been trying to find Galadriel this whole time. And it's like the constellation was of a figure with a woman with like a bow and arrow or a sword in her hand.
Oh, God.
He's just been looking for Galadriel this whole time.
Oh man, Nick, you just literally laid out the one thing that could happen that would get me to just be
Turn it off.
Oh God,
Yes.
really? If he's just looking for Galadriel this entire time, there better be a damn good reason.
Maybe to kill her.
Maybe.
I like that.
Yep, I would like that.
Yeah. He's an assassin from Valinor because she escaped Valinor, and they're like, "Nah, you were supposed to come back."
Well,
And now
what?
he's
Yeah,
like a Dementor that's like hunting her.
I was gonna say, what if he's like a automatically dispatched Dementor or like a Sentinel? Like he
Right.
can't help it.
Yes.
It's just what he's there for. He'll help everybody else except Galadriel. And the moment he sets sights on her, that's when he's fully charged.
I'm all for it, man. If
Yeah,
that ends up happening, that will turn everything around.
I
That will
think we
turn
just
everything
wrote a
around.
whole. I think we just figured out how to save this series or this season at least. And we have proven once again we deserve the money that these writers, if that's what we want to call them, are given.
Hey, I won't even take $500 million. I
We
would
keep
be
saying that.
fine
We don't
with.
want half.
I'd be fine with 100 million. Come on.
We keep
Come
saying
on.
that. We
Yeah.
keep saying we don't want half of what you gave them. We'll take less than
Right.
half.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at least a quarter. At least
You
I'm
could have
taking at
written
least
it better. See, we got Big Mike here. Thank you, brother. We appreciate you. He said I would watch that. Thank you.
We
Yeah.
appreciate it.
I mean, it's better than this. So
Yeah, anything's at this point is better.
we
You know,
appreciate you, Big Mike. We'll be talking to you tomorrow night.
right. Watch
for
this in
House of the
reverse
Dragon.
and play some Zeppelin. I don't know, minus the speed by like 40%,
Mm,
and watch this in reverse. It might be a better episode, or it might be a
mm.
better series in general. And I don't mean forward in reverse. I literally mean rewind it.
Right. Yes. Corey says, what's ironic is they tried to make Durin the Third and Gil-galad the assholes, but they were right about everything. And the show probably still doesn't want us to like them.
Yep.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
Because
you're right. They both were right. Damn, they both were right about
because
it.
the patriarch can't be correct about stuff. Come on. That's just old news. You can't have the patriarch be right about stuff. And if he is right about stuff, it's only because his ideas are backwards.
Yeah. It's funny because I want to like King Durin, right?
Mm.
I still like King Durin actually. I never liked Gil-galad. So even in this moment, having to think about like, damn, he was right. Damn, he was right. He was right about a lot that we're not gonna as I'm sorry, what was his name?
Corey.
Apologize for
Yeah.
that, Corey. As Corey just stated, they're not gonna bring that, they're not gonna want us to like him. So they're
Right.
not gonna confess that, oh, you know what, Gil-galad was right, because he's supposed to be painted as this big bad sinister monster.
Well, and you know that Galadriel's gonna check him and put him in his place.
Oh yeah, somehow she's gonna
Yeah.
be right in this situation.
Right.
I don't know. You know what? I need one of those House of Dragon punches that Aemon put on his little cousin. I need one of those.
Wait. What, punches? Like a shiv?
Yeah, no, you remember the punch? The only full-on punch we seen in all of House of Dragon?
Right. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
we need
Yeah.
one of those in episode 8 of Rings of Power.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
for the
Gilgalad.
disrespect that's being shown.
Gilgalad needs his strong hand.
And I want to be clear, we're talking about elves, so it should be all above
Right,
board.
absolutely. Yeah, they don't
Um,
have the same dynamics as us.
no, I mean they're basically a living army. No, if you think about it. So if
Yeah,
you're
they're just
disrespecting the
autonomous.
king,
Yeah, they're automatons. Damn sponge caps. And
exactly, you get it. Dang, yeah, I think that might be worse than the punch I'm thinking about. I was thinking about a human punch. That is a superhuman punch.
mm-hmm.
Um, so once all of that, we already kind of touched on all of these things, though.
Yeah.
Nori's father inspiring them to keep their chin high, and then everybody was Sadik and Malva, basically the two people who dislike Nori, her entire family, the stranger, and feel like Poppy as an orphan ain't shit. All of a sudden, they want to help.
Right. Well, I mean, because now he can grow all of their crops for him. For
Oh,
them.
you're right. Goddamn users.
They want to enslave the stranger so that he can just grow their crops. Yeah.
Factual. Whether they say it or admit it that way or not, that is essentially the layout there. Yeah, because he had even when he was saving them from the wolves and stuff, they still was kind of like, he just scary now. He ain't
Yeah.
helpful. He just scary.
We don't like him, but we'll let him pull our cart.
Yeah. And then now, he can give us food. You're right. They want to enslave him.
Mm-hmm.
They may not understand it that way, but that is essentially what's happening. And that there once again is one of those small little moments where it's like, do you see how even the evil can dwell in the good people? So someone please think of the children.
Oh yeah, and I don't know if it makes a whole bunch of sense either, because what the four Harfoots go, it's the leader guy Sadak or Sadak.
How are they going to catch a giant with their tiny little legs?
Well, I mean, not even that. He's going to find the constellation. So are they going with him, or are they trying to bring him back? Because they're
trying to bring him back.
Right. So, but that's not going to work because he's trying to go find the constellation.
Yeah, they're definitely not going to help him do his thing so that then he can help them. No.
Oh, they're going to steal him from his purpose so that they can grow. He can grow their apples. Gotcha.
Steal. That's right. Steal.
All right. Well, I think.
What else? We talked about Halbrand and his injury, his mysterious injury, and we need to figure out how that came about. Maybe the Balrog is in the cave because it bursted out of him. Who knows? But even though he is injured and he is being laying apparently incapacitated and hiding from everyone, now that Galadriel is there, he's strong enough to mount a horse and ride off into the sunset. Even though, let's also keep in mind, they have an encampment that is so small that whether it's the orcs or just a blast from the volcano, if one rock falls from that volcano, it's still flying through the air. That entire little commune is gone.
Yeah, of course. And this is another illustration of why these mystery things don't work in a storytelling way, because we don't know how Halbrand got wounded, and I'm sure we're going to find that out at some point, like it's supposed to be some big reveal. But this is the problem. Now we're seeing him wounded, and then now he's going to ride to... I'm assuming they're going to Mirkwood, or they're going to they're going to the Wood Elves. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to Lindon. Oh, they're going to Lindon, right? Because they're going to go see Gilgalad. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But I think that's a pretty far distance. I'm pretty sure. My guess
off air, we were theorizing possibly 2 months.
Yeah, about 2 months to 3 months if you're riding on horseback, I would think, because I think they did the math and it's like 2,000 or 3,000 miles. So yeah, it's a long ride. I don't know if he's gonna make it.
Right. Mike's question is, how did any one of them survive? Yeah, we were saying that at the beginning.
They didn't.
And
they're all dead, and this is hell now, and they've taken us with them.
It's no other explanation.
Yeah.
But yeah, my theory on their survival is bullshit.
I'm Aldous Snow. Bullshit.
We have nothing else for you. Like,
no, it's
the
true.
reality is we ended last week's episode chuckling about the fact that this blast was coming at you. Essentially made of the same thing that a Balrog is made out of, and it smacks Galadriel in the face. And that's where we ended last episode. As Nick said earlier, they thought that was a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
How did anyone survive? They need to finish the next 2 episodes. That's
Mhm.
pretty much all I got.
Because
for
the
you.
story needs them to live.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm not understanding. They have the red dust and everything that was all over Galadriel, but seemingly, just hear me out here, because we also talked about how they're not washing their asses.
She got clean at the end of this, huh?
Her and Theo were both clean by that night.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, they could take a shower or a bath or something, but nobody else can apparently.
Yeah. So there's 2 things for you, Mike. How did they survive, and where did they wash their ass?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
How are they not giving each other scabies at this point?
That good old red clay. Where'd that go? You know,
Right.
and I don't know if anyone else noticed, but that looks like the same fire retardant red clay that they dropped from fire plot armor activated. Exactly.
Like Voltron.
That dust reminded me of the dust that they drop from helicopters when they're putting out a fire. So I'm just trying to figure out, was that an accident?
You're right. Oh, it wasn't Mordor, you guys. It was just California in the summer.
Good old San
Yeah.
Fernando.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a little more valid. They were camping out behind the Hollywood sign. So yeah, after that we see Adar and the boys. Let's see. Corey says tree trunks are burning through the center, right next to a bunch of twigs and pine cones in the same shot, which burn like tiki torches.
Oh yeah. They weren't burnt at all, but they have tree trunks, whole tree trunks burning. Yeah. The amount of water that's in a tree trunk, it takes a while for them to get dry enough to burn.
Out for those of you who aren't aware, if you cut down a fresh, live, living tree that's healthy, you will have that wood sitting outside trying to cure for a minimum of about 9 months.
Yeah, it takes a while. Sometimes 12.
You're going to be burnt.
Yeah,
right. When you try to burn that wood, even after it's dry, it's still going to burn for a couple of hours.
Oh yeah.
Just so you know.
That's why wood's so expensive, because it takes so long to cure. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's all we got, man. We have anything else?
Yeah, Adar and the boys. The
right.
orcs are, hell, the Lord of the Southlands, and Adar, he ain't feeling that Lord of the Southlands business. The Southlands are no more. And they say, well, what will we call this place, Lord Father? And he just smiles and stares into the cloud, and then we see the Southlands on the screen, and it fades out. And
I'll never tell.
We realize we are no longer in the Southlands. We are now in Mordor.
Yeah. Interesting stylistic choice for them to write it,
Just say it. I guess none of the orcs are gonna know.
It might have been useful to use that in every other situation. Like, where the hell are because I still don't know where the Harfoots are in relation to everybody else. They're close enough for a piece of the volcano to hit where they normally summer, but yeah.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Because I thought about that. I was like, so how close are they to them? And with them supposed to be tiny people, it's like, are they right under them and they just don't know?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're leaving it vague. It's for the same reason that how the hell did the Numenorian army find that village in time?
Right, let's not go back to that.
It doesn't make any sense.
That's probably the biggest question mark for this entire series. I mean, I probably have to do some thinking, but that one jumps out to me.
Yeah, interesting is code. That's all I'll say. Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's all I got, man. I can't believe that we talked this long for it, but I think it's probably because we had some company tonight, so it was nice to get feedback.
Definitely. I'm gonna theorize before we close out. The reason we got this far is they actually did some shit right for once, and it helped. Excuse me, some things once for right, and it helped.
Oh, I mean, I don't know if I'll go that far, but I think that there was enough. There was enough going on. How about that? There was enough
Okay.
going on to actually talk about, because in a lot of these episodes, nothing happens.
Oh
So
God, nothing at all. So
yeah,
yeah, this is an actual episode that we got to watch. So we got some stuff to review out here.
things happen in it.
Things happen. Things were said. Stuff was done.
Hmm.
With that being said, all of that, I want to thank Corey and Big Mike for hanging out with us tonight. And by all means, come on back over. Check us out tomorrow. Big Mike's going to actually be on with us. We're going to be shooting again, Screen Time Continuum, but we will be reviewing House of the Dragon. I want to say they're on episode 8 over there, yeah?
House of the Dragon episode 8 tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
House of the Dragon episode 8 will be right here for you tomorrow on Sunday. Oh, we have one more comment from Corey.
Yes, sir.
Corey says, Disa suddenly went from charming to bad. Harfoot's completely changed for amoral from amoral to good. What the fuck? I agree with both of those. And it's like the showrunners were former film screenplay uncredited bad robot TV show amateurs or something of that nature. Yeah,
Something of
I
that
agree with you.
nature. I think they're acolytes of J.J. Abrams, so you're right about that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we oh God, yeah. Trust me, we have had theories about these writers.
Yeah.
But with that being
Hopefully we'll see Corey in future episodes, because yeah, your input has been very fun
said,
for us to
yeah.
read. Thank you again for commenting, and of course, Big Mike, thanks again. Hot D tomorrow night. We'll see
tomorrow
there.
night.
Yeah.
So yes, by all means, thank you for everybody that tunes in, listens, whether you comment or not. We appreciate every listen, every view, every impression, tap, share, whatever you do, we appreciate you. Feel free to again come back right over here tomorrow, Sunday evening, where we'll be here on Screen Time Continuum reviewing Hot D, aka House of the Dragon. That's what we do here on Sundays and Wednesdays on the Screen Time Continuum. We'll be reviewing things, giving you also the pop culture onslaught on Wednesdays. And while Rings of Power is going, we'll be giving you either a Friday or a Saturday episode to cover that. On other days of the week, go ahead and pay attention to some of these things. Hit the like, subscribe button, share, tell your friends about it, because we're always going to give you content so that you can keep your week going and stay entertained. On Tuesdays, go ahead and check out If Numbers Could Talk. That's myself right on over there. Check me out, If Numbers Could Talk, YouTube, Facebook, and you can catch me on Spotify for that one. Screen Time Continuum on Wednesdays. You're already here, so you're already with us. On Thursdays and Tuesdays, you'll also go on over to Twitch and check out Strawberries and Coffee. Strawberries and Coffee is Dejan. He'll be playing some games for you, giving you stuff out of the vault. New games, old games, things that you may have beaten. Maybe you could give him some tips or learn some tips from him. Check out Strawberries and Coffee on Twitch and YouTube for his archive. On Fridays, you can check out the Exofathom. The Exofathom gives you probably some of the greatest content and reviews you're going to see as far as material. I mean, Nick, what are some things that you guys have over there? I know you guys covered Gremlin. You guys have covered Area 51.
Solipsism, hyperreality. We talk about mythology, philosophy, and a little bit of the esoteric. So go check that out.
Also, I remember you guys had a Halloween episode that had me like, whoa. Not sure if that was last year or the year before that, but either way, go ahead and check out the Exofathom on Fridays. You're going to check them out at 8 p.m. on Facebook, YouTube, Verbal, Rumble. I think those are the only 4 at this very moment. But hey, if you guys have anything else that you guys want us to put any of these on, be sure to jump in our comments on any of those shows and say, hey, you should probably be on this app as well. And we'll check that out as well. So that was our Friday. On Saturdays, check out This Merry Moment. This Merry Moment is myself and my wife. We'll be having a show for you on Saturdays between 10 and 12 noon. Go ahead and check that out. We'll always be giving you something different, just kind of talking about things, but at the same time, answering questions that, who knows, maybe you're asking yourself or people around you. It is called This Married Moment, but it is more for the average human and not just for the married person. We're just having a married moment when we're talking to you. On Sundays, again, come right back over here, Screen Time Continuum. we're always going to be here for you. What can I say? I can't add anything else to that. Thank you guys for hanging out. We appreciate you. For the Screen Time Continuum, my name is Keelan.
I'm Nick.
And I think I'm winded.
That's a long one. Yeah. I still haven't. I need to make that end card.
Oh, God, she did live.
I lived.